Welcome to Horry County Community Calendar. I'm your host and fellow Horry County and Herb Malsman. We are in an SUV, I guess SUV. We're just crossing Kings Highway at Sunset Trail here in Myrtle Beach. We're going to do a right, and then as soon as we pull into the Food Lion parking lot here at 6103, I think, Kings Highway, you can make a left right here, Kathy. I'm directing her. She goes. Okay, actually, you can pull right in over here. Oh, yeah, get right in here. Okay, I'm directing Kathy here, and I'll get her last name in a moment. Oh, we're going to pull up to the next one there. Okay. You got the Food Line. We're going to be talking horses today. We're going to be talking horses and Morgan horses and rescue, and get a little information on how best to care for horses, if you happen to have one, or if you know of anybody. We're going to get some expert opinion here today. But today here on Horry County Community Calendar, we're pulling into the parking lot, and Kathy is going to be able to speak in just a moment. She's going to find her very first, plenty of parking here. Why don't we just pull? Well, everybody want to do it. Okay, we're going to make a left or right into the parking area right here. And as soon as Kathy pulls in and puts it in park, which she's doing, we're going to start talking. Kathy, first of all, your last name, and then tell us how we met.
Kathy Sheeley, and I work for a transport company that takes people and patients around to their doctors and hospital appointments. Yeah. And
of course, it's for Medicaid and Medicare and all that. It's free. You just call, but you need 3 days notice. You give them your Medicaid card and where you're going and all that, and they get you where you're going and then bring you back. It's a free service. So for Medicaid, do you have a phone number for me before we move along?
I don't have one on me.
Okay, but it's an 800 number, I know.
Right, and you would call Logisticare.
Logisticare, that's what it is. Okay, Logisticare. Kathy Sheeley and I met. She was driving me to an appointment, and we started talking horses. Where are you located? Where is your farm? And let's talk horses.
The horses that I own are Morgan horses, and they are located at Linmick Farms. That's outside of, well, actually within the city limits of Loris, off Highway 348. It's owned by Louise and her husband Chris, and they are kind enough to allow me to board the horses there. I have 8 of them.
And there are Morgan horses, and you're looking for folks with Morgan horses as well, aren't you? But we'll get your number in a little while. Yeah. But you're also looking for fellow Morgan horses. Why is it so difficult to find them in this area? And what are Morgan? Gives a little history on Morgan horses.
Well, I'm surprised that a lot of people associate Morgan horses with the more draft horses. They're large, but they're not. They're probably most of the folks around here are familiar with quarter horses, but they're about that size or a little bit smaller. They come in all shapes and sizes. You have some that look like Arabians, and then you have some that are a stockier build. They started up north. That's why it's kind of hard to find them down here. A lot of people don't know what Morgans are, where they originate. I read a book a long time ago by Marguerite Henry. I believe it was The Godolphin Arabian. Also, Justin Morgan had a horse. Justin Morgan, the Morgan horse, that was the owner's name, Justin Morgan, and the owner of that little horse back there, and I can't think of his name right offhand, but that horse was a payment for a job that Justin Morgan had done for someone, and I think this was back in the 1800s, and this little horse was a very strong, very little fast horse, and people wanted to breed to this horse, and that's where it became very popular. That's where the breed started. But when I was looking back through the papers of my horse, all of my horses go back to Justin Morgan's little horse. If you go further back into the, I'm not familiar with the date, probably the 15 or 1600s, the other book I read was The Godolphin Arabian, and those horses actually go back to the Godolphin Arabian. I was very excited about that.
You have a history with horses. You're pretty dedicated to the care and breeding and the rescue of horses. How far back, and what got you involved in this particular? And you're a dedicated person. We've spoken about this. We happened to meet on the trip that day, and we got to speaking. What's your history with horses in general?
Well, I'm what they call a backyard rider. I'm by no means an expert. There are people out there that know a lot more about horses than I do. My talent is keeping my ears open and my mouth shut. You know, if I do know something about horses and it's been proven, I will pass it on. And but my way of training is not the only way. There are other people out there. Rita Usher, for one thing, is very, very good with training people how to ride. But my talent or my interest is mainly working with horses on the ground, taking behavior problems and turning a horse around, getting him out of a bad system, and putting him back into a home where he is happy and the owner's happy with him. One quote from the man that trained the horse Seabiscuit that I think everybody is familiar with, all horses are born the same. It's men that change them. So if a horse kicks or bites or has bad habits, he really doesn't want to do that. He thinks he has to do it to survive. That's from, you know, being abused or beaten or something like that. So it takes a long time to get a horse's trust back. That's what I'm interested in.
Well, when we were speaking, I was talking about the fact that my daughters are a rider, but she hasn't been doing it very long. But when we were living in Altoona, Pennsylvania, she was on a huge paint or a pinto, very willful. And I was saying the way she controlled that horse was to kind of grab the left rein and pull, so it kind of the horse spun around and finally submitted to her. And what did you call that? And I guess she was doing the right thing there.
Well, the first time I heard about that, and it really does make a lot of sense, you can't muscle a horse into submission because a horse is like 1,000 pounds and I'm 150, but it's called the one rein stop. And again, Rita Usher, one of many trainers that will teach that first. People need to understand that the one thing that they need to learn if they're going to ride with a horse is self-defense. Eventually you're going to have a wreck on a horse. It's just best to choose where you're going to have that wreck. If a horse misbehaves, if you have taught him to give to pressure, where you would pull, if you pull straight back on a bit, you're going to rip that horse's mouth, and if you continue to do that, like I said, you can't muscle a horse into a stop. But a one rein stop gets the horse moving in a circular direction where you can eventually kind of bring them to a stop and get them back under control.
Yeah. And they became as one. She went galloping off into the hills, and that was it. I mean, they became pals after that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's always a good thing to be on the horse's side.
Yeah, so. And the horse to be on your side.
Oh, exactly.
When she got back to the farm a little bit, or the stable, whatever it was, I tried to get up on this, and this guy was enormous. I tried to get up and struggling to sweat. And it started swatting me in the face with its tail. Yeah. And I said, well, this guy I don't think wants me on there. Was that what he was telling me?
Most likely. You know, he may have had some bad experiences, you know, being trained before, but the thing about training, I listen to all kind of trainers, and no two horses are alike. But what I like to do is I try to you know, match the trainer to the horse. You have John Lyons, you have Clinton Anderson, you have Pony Boy, you have Pat Pirelli, all very popular. They all use the same technique, so it gets down to pressure and release. You know, the only time that I would ever, and I don't endorse this unless you know, you're with a professional, the only time I would endorse corporal punishment with a horse, and it would probably be with biting or kicking or something like that. And a lot of people will just take their temper out on a horse. You can't do that. If a horse goes to bite you, you need to react immediately so that they know exactly what you are correcting them or disciplining them for, and only do it for 3 seconds. For 3 seconds, you're letting the horse know exactly what they're being chastised for. After that, it's abuse.
Yeah, after that, they've they've moved on, and that's it. And it's time to you've made your point. Exactly,
and you do that with any animal, dogs, anything that you're training. If you don't correct an animal immediately, then it's lost.
It sounds like that's the best way to go with a child as well.
Probably, yes. I would think so. You know, you need to not wait an hour and then go back and take care of the discipline. You need to stop what you're doing right there and take care of it.
You were talking about this fascinating conversation you had with me that day about with the cowboy hat, the Western hat, and eyeing the horse and cutting it out of the herd, and the way you look at the horse and you make eye contact. Clarify that. I know I confused the listeners a little bit, but talk about that as you recall.
Well, when I was growing up, I read the book Black Beauty, and it was a wonderful book, and it kind of put you kind of gave you the idea of what horses go through. They can start off in a wonderful home and end up in a very, very bad home. The thing about horses is, instead of them learning our language, we need to learn theirs. And Monty Roberts is a wonderful horse trainer, and he has, just reading his books, he goes by the language of the herd. If you have a problem with a horse, you need to, there's a certain technique called round penning, and a lot of people that are involved with horses know of this now. I don't think it's a really new technique, but it's one that's being used more and more. And you get out there and you get forward movement out of the horse. The best way to describe it with Monty Roberts, what he used to do is he would watch the herd. And there is something called the boss mare, and anytime a horse misbehaves, she runs that horse out of the herd. And in the wild, that's certain death for a horse, because a horse by himself, horses are herd animals, and they watch after one another. When a horse is outside of the herd, he's on his own. But what the boss mare will do is keep that young horse out of the herd, or any horse out of the herd, and stare at it. And as long as she's staring at it, that horse knows not to come back into the herd. But when she drops her eyes and turns to the side, that's giving that horse permission to enter back into the herd. But the horse better behave, or it'll be run back out of the herd. Well, that's pretty well what you do in a round pen with a horse. And you make eye contact and make it stand its ground and keep that hula hoop space, as Clinton Anderson would say. And when you drop your eyes, and sometimes it's kind of handy to have a hat because they can't see your eyes. That's pretty much, but as long as you hold the eye contact, that keeps them at bay.
Is that another function of the Western hat? The what do we call the Western hat? Cowboy hat? What's the name of that hat?
Well, it was just probably to keep the sun out of their eyes, but it could probably be used for that too. A ball cap would do.
Yeah. Okay. And my phone is ringing, but I can't answer it. I think it's my daughter. I should always turn on mute, but I don't. Anyway, there's nothing I can do but let her ring. Okay. You were talking about, you have an Amish horse that you've had at your stable, your farm, who was abused by the owner. Talk about that animal.
Well, I don't exactly know the history except what I was told, and I can't make a blanket statement about the Amish, of course, but the Amish do use carts, and they use buggy whips and things like that. Well, this horse came to me from an Amish trainer who had been very liberal with the buggy whip and his equipment, and they had a buggy accident with the horse. So when I got this horse, it was very, very suspicious of me, resented human beings, could not be caught. Anytime I approached it with a halter or a bridle, don't even think about a saddle, it would bolt. And it took a long time for me to get that horse to just trust me. The way that I did that, I just turned it out into the herd, and I'd let the herd teach it first. And then after the herd, I would walk out amongst the herd and become the boss mare. And pretty soon I was able to get the horse into the round pen and work with it, and kind of brought it around. It was a wonderful thing to watch because you can see the change in the eyes.
Boss mare, so that's a human term. You're the boss mare, taking the place of a boss mare in a herd.
Yeah, too bad that doesn't work on the home front, but you know, the horses seem to respond to it very well.
What about boss fillies?
Boss fillies.
That's what happens at home.
Oh no, well, never heard of it. Sorry.
Okay, now there's a young horse. You have with a young horse, I guess, or not a pony, but a young horse, whose mother met a rather tragic and kind of an odd end. And this horse is motherless now, and you know, of course, you know the horse I'm talking about. What happened there? Give us some history on that. The mother and child there.
It was a very difficult thing to. It's still hard to think about. Corey was a beautiful, hot-headed Morgan mare that had a wonderful ancestry, and she had a little 3-month-old foal. And sometimes freak accidents, you know, horses are like 2-year-olds, they're like toddlers. They can get into things that you never even thought of. She lay down beside a barn, and she was sunning herself, and she always loved to roll, and she rolled and her legs got caught up against a barn. And anyone with any experience with horses know that horses cannot lie down for long periods of time. She was in a horrible position. Her legs were kind of up against the barn. She couldn't right herself. And I think basically she just suffocated. And so that left us with a 3-month-old foal, which is very, very difficult to replace a mother's milk. Some people do wean their foals at very early ages, but it didn't do well for her. She seems to be coming around now, and she thinks she's human. She follows us around, and I'm going to have to convince her she's not, because she can't crawl up in our laps at 1,000 pounds.
Right.
So.
And she's and you talked about suffocating. What happens there, to kind of clarify that?
I believe that with the weight of the horse, it's not very good for them to, well, she was in a bad position anyway, but I think the weight of the horse, you probably have to ask an expert. And the term for what she did is called casting. Sometimes a horse can get stuck up against a wall and they can't get their legs up underneath them to push up to get back into a standing position. And it's not good for horses to lay down for long periods of time.
My daughter, as the weather turns a little bit, she's more of a warm weather type. She's going to be coming out and then working with you a little bit. She loves animals. She loves animals, so she's looking forward to getting out and being with horses again. Or that's one of her favorite things, is hanging out with horses. Give us a day in the life of Kimberly at your place. How's it going to go?
Well, the first thing we'll do is I like to keep the horses outside as much as I can as the weather permits, but if we've had rain, Kimberly's going to have to grab the pitchfork and help me clean the stalls. The lady that owns the stables feeds the horses for us. Sometimes we may have to go get hay and bring that in, the huge round bales and the square bales if they've been in the stall. And really now, compared to what the farm was before, life is relatively easy now, so she can just come out and enjoy herself.
So she'll get to ride a little bit too, so that's great. I'd love to come out and just see her. She's very impressive on horseback.
Well, most of the horses that I have were brood mares before. I don't think they've had saddles on their back. I have one paint out there. He's not a Morgan, but we call him up Uncle Patch because he takes care of the herd. He is rideable. The others are in training. I will get a saddle on their back, and I will use very gentle means. I don't believe in breaking a horse. I believe in gentling them.
Right. For those folks who don't get out to, and the name of your is it stable or farm?
Lenmick, and the lady there's very interesting because she raises minis, and she has several minis out there and also raises toy poodles.
Mini Coopers?
No. Mini horses, and I'm learning about them myself because people think they're ponies, and they're not. They're actually miniature horses.
Right. I was telling you, the only time I ever was one with a horse was when I was in Iceland back in the the mid-90s, and I got to ride an Icelandic horse, and you were kind of impressed with that, but he was a little guy, and we got along. I gave him you whispered in his ear and give him a little kiss, and we were just fine and dandy, and those are work horses. Those are strong, and they're 365 a year. They handle any kind of weather.
Yeah, it was really interesting that we started talking about that, because I had just seen something, I believe it was on National Geographic, about the Icelandic horse, and that kind of went back to the what I read about in Black Beauty, the dreaded coal mines in England. Well, because the Icelandic horse is so sturdy and so tough and has such a big heart, unfortunately a lot of them was shipped to England way back when and put down in the coal mines, and a lot of them never saw the surface again. They stayed down there until they went stone blind, and that is so sad to me.
And one came out and refused to go back in.
Yeah, I think the last time that they used horses down in the coal mines was as recently as the 1980s, and one of the last horses that they brought back to the surface and retired him, I guess they were just curious, and they took him back to the opening of that mine just to see what he would do if they tried to take him back down to the mine, and he planted his feet and refused to go.
Good. God bless you, Dr. King. You know, they were still using torture tactics in the 70s in England to get the news out, to find out what was going on. So it's taken a little while to catch up.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Yeah. Okay, Kathy, we're going to go. Again, you're listening to Horry County Community Calendar. I'm your host and fellow Horry County and Herb Malzman. We have a special guest. He's usually only on once a month, Jack Gregory. He's going to be talking about the Boy Scouts 100th anniversary. Beyond this, Kathy, anything? I know you said there's a horse sale in Conway where folks can actually go out if the horse loves to go out and hang out with him and maybe ride him a little bit in Conway. When does that happen?
Well, actually, there's an auction.
You said Fridays or something?
No, it's I really don't go to the auctions that much. That's something I'm not familiar with. And in Conway, I don't think there's one.
Oh, I thought we talked about it. You and I talked about that. I guess not. Oh, well, I guess I must have been talking horses with somebody else. Anyway, Kathy Sheeley, thank you very much. I'm going to run and get some coffee over here, switch a coffee, and then you're going to give me a ride home, and I do appreciate it. Anything you want to close with? Any you want to whinny or neigh, or anything you want to say about horses on the way out?
No, I think just anybody that has a horse, just enjoy them and just use the utmost respect with them. Is all I would ask.
Okay, you can't really get a horse to take you to your doctor appointment if you're on Medicaid, but you can get Logisticare to do it. There's an 800 number. You look it up, and you give them your Medicaid number and give them the information and the address and where you're going. You need 3 days notice at least to get someone to pick you up, and it's free, and it's a great way to get to your appointments. Kathy Sheeley, I'm so glad you've been busy, and I'm so glad I got to speak to you and get you on the air. Kimberly's looking forward to getting out there and mucking. So she said, I don't want it to muck too